All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy June. Hopefully, everyone is having a great summer now that all of our chapters are officially in summer mode. I know we had a few quarter chapters finish up just a couple of weeks ago with those finals. So, really excited to be kicking off summer 2025 Amplify DU recruitment training program. Ever since my return to the DU staff back at the end of October, this is something that I've been looking forward to since I had such a great time really developing this back in 2021 for our groups, really post-COVID, and really thinking about how we're utilizing our time throughout the summer prepping for the 2025-26 school year. For those who I have not had the opportunity to meet or interact with, my name is Hayden Ron. I'm a graduate of the Oregon chapter in 2016. I currently serve as the Senior Director of Fraternity Growth for Delta Upsilon. I'm on my second stint at headquarters. So I initially was on the IHQ staff from 2016 to early 2022, where I served as a leadership consultant and then a variety of different growth roles. Left for about 3 years to do some alumni engagement work up in the Pacific Northwest, specifically the Portland, Oregon metro area, and then had the opportunity to return to staff uh, back at the end of October in this role as a senior director of growth. So I oversee all fraternity growth, growth strategy, recruitment programming, recruitment training, our expansions that we have. I oversee our growth team, which includes Trey McDonald, who's on the call. He's our newest staff member on the growth team. Our volunteers, three of which who are on the call tonight, specifically Amplify DU volunteers, and Josh Smith, Sam Kleeman, and Tristan Cruz. So the five of us combined are really excited to be providing you all, both undergraduates and advisors, a really comprehensive and engaging summer as we're really prepping for a strong recruitment and growth year next year, starting in August. A little bit personal about myself because I'll probably bring it up throughout the five webinars, different small group sessions, one-on-one sessions, all of those pieces. Currently live in Southern California, have a little 4-year-old and another one on the way due in September. And have my wife, her name's Elise, and our little one's named Scout. So if you hear me talk about those two at points throughout, that's who they are. Always like sharing that to just kind of get a little bit more personal with who we're working with and make sure that you all know a little bit about myself. And we'll dive into kind of all of those pieces as well if we're doing some small group stuff and some one-on-one coaching. As I mentioned, join with me on this call. You'll have the opportunity to kind of meet them throughout the summer as well. We have current leadership consultant Trey McDonald. He's from our Miami chapter, graduated this past May. And then Josh Smith and Sam Kleeman, both from the Miami chapter, former staff members. They graduated last year. And then Tristan Cruz from our Boise State chapter, who also graduated last year and a former staff member. So again, very excited that we'll be working with you all throughout this summer. So I always like to kick off Amplify DU talking about why Amplify DU, why this program, why are we spending and investing so much time, so much energy into amplifying DU and working with you all to really develop your growth strategy, your recruitment strategy, providing this training prior to the start of the school year. First and foremost, and I'll talk about a little bit here in a second, is Amplify DU really emphasizes this idea of 365 recruitment. A lot of the times, our chapters utilize the summer to really just take a break and recruit after a year, focus on jobs, focus on internships, focus on not being in classes. And while I love that and I want you all to continue to do that, also want you all to think about how we are utilizing the summer to really think about recruitment as a year-long process. What are we doing to prep ourselves to have a really strong fall recruitment, have a really strong spring recruitment, which happens now. And so as we think about what Amplify DU allows for us to do, it allows for us to take advantage of what I like to call, or what most people think of, is this off time. It allows for us not to wait until August 1st to start thinking about recruitment, but start thinking about it now. Allow for us to have some intentional conversations, address issues, address challenges, celebrate successes, be innovative, be creative, talk to other peers, talk to other advisors, talk to other alumni, work with your recruitment coach to really think about how are we attacking this next year to reach our recruitment goals, to develop the right plan, develop the right strategy so that your chapter can go continue to grow, continue to retain your members, and continue to be a presence on your campus and within DU. Amplify DU, there's a lot that's included. I know you probably have seen this when you registered and through the email, so did want to just go through what is included in the program because I think that's important to set the stage for what you can expect throughout the summer. So really, the program runs between now and August 8th. And the reason August 8th is there is because that is the deadline to submit those recruitment plans that each chapter will be expected to submit. And I'll talk a little bit about what that will look like here in a second. So first main piece of Amplify DU are these webinars, 5 different webinars. Those are pretty much going to be the next 5 weeks. There is a 2-week break when LI is, since we'll do a lot of LI programming. If you haven't registered for LI yet, do so now. I will put that in there simply because that early bird discount of $100 is still out there. It ends tomorrow. So if you have not registered for that specifically, with your chapter, specifically yourself or somebody from your chapter, go ahead and do that. We also have that huge recruitment symposium and recruitment training. So I'd be doing a disservice to myself and the rest of the staff if I didn't mention that. But with our 5 different webinars, those are Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Every Monday, you can expect to receive an email with the Zoom link. So those are different Zoom meeting links. So make sure that you're on the lookout for those on Monday. Feel free to pass those along to other chapter members, additional advisors, alumni. Those are open to anyone who would like to join any of those webinars. The second piece to Amplify is our small group meetings. So every chapter will receive and be assigned a chapter recruitment coach. That's one of the 5 of us, myself, Trey, Josh, Sam, or Tristan. You will work with that coach and other chapters that coach is working with to have these 3 small group meetings throughout the summer. Those dates and times are set by the recruitment coach based on availability from all the chapters that are involved and are being coached. So just be on the lookout again for that and that outreach there. There's the one-on-one coaching meetings. So on top of the recruitment coach helping with small group meetings, they will also establish and find 3 different times, at least 3 different times throughout the summer that you will be meeting with that recruitment coach one-on-one. That can include other members of your recruitment committee, other advisors. So that doesn't have to be a true one-on-one meeting. If you want to involve other individuals, that's one-on-one coaching in terms of that chapter coach with that specific chapter. And so you'll get more information on there, but that really is going to help you individualize and personalize a lot of what your specific chapter needs are when it comes to recruitment. Within those one-on-one coaching meetings, that recruitment coach is going to really focus on addressing challenges and issues and questions that you might have, but also helping you work through your 2025, 2026 recruitment plan. So later this week, and I'll talk about what you can expect this week, you will receive our recruitment plan template. The expectation is that you are completing that recruitment plan template with your advisors, with your alumni, with your recruitment coach, and you are submitting that by the Friday, August 8th deadline. That allows for myself and my team and other chapter liaisons to understand what your recruitment plan is for the entire year so that we can have intentional and strategic follow-up conversations for you. And the last thing that's included in the program is that every chapter this week will be receiving 2 different informational pieces. The first one being IHQ recruitment goals. So this year and going into the 2025-2026 school year, IHQ has established recruitment goal expectations for each of our chapters. Those goal expectations involve a lot of different data points, including previous 3-year recruitment data. It includes where chapters, projected chapter size is going to be. If we have the information, average chapter size on your campus. We look at where
First 6
the
months
chapter has
are
been from
months
a
time
place
includes
of men of merit, so where you fell on the membership men of merit criteria there. So we're taking all of that into account to establish these goals. You'll get all of that information with your goals. by Friday. And so that will help us really work with the chapter and get some more information on what those expectations will look like. The other piece, and this is newly created, chapter membership health report. Some chapters have already received this if they've been working with me or another staff member. But your chapter membership health report is really a bigger view of your overall chapter membership health report. So you're going to see 6 different categories that kind of show membership as a whole. That's beyond just how many men we recruited this past year, how many associate members we had, how many guys we initiated. We're going to look at year over year chapter size. Did the chapter grow? Did the chapter not grow? What is that compared to the average chapter size on your campus? If we have that information, we're going to look at this previous year's recruitment. How many AMs did you recruit? How many did you initiate? Did you hit the 80% retention goal that we expect at IHQ? If not, maybe that's somewhere that we can address and a concern that we need to address. If you did, amazing. We're going to look at class breakdown. You're going to see, based off the information we have in our database, what percent of your members are in each of the different class years. And so that information will be in there. And so we'll look at that and say, wow, we have a lot of, older members. And so that's going to dictate maybe some recruitment strategy and planning. So that's a really good kind of membership piece to think about there. Because if I know I'm going to be graduating, or I just graduated, 15 of our 45 members within my chapter, I've got to make sure I put that into account or take that into account when I'm thinking about recruitment for next year. We're going to look at previous program attendance. So really that's the past 2 Amplify sessions. So that one will continue. We'll continue to add to that every single year moving forward. We're going to have a section on, do you have advisory support? Specifically, do you have somebody in our system for recruitment advising? And then the last one is since last July 1st, 2024, how many resignations has the chapter seen? How many expulsions has the chapter seen? And is that an area that we need to have more conversation on? So it's just giving us a greater look on what that looks like there. The other piece, and I didn't mention this from a housekeeping standpoint for tonight, if you have any questions or comments or anything of that nature, feel free to put that in the chat. Trey, Josh, Sam, or Tristan will be kind of monitoring the chat for me and make sure that they're answering those questions, or make sure that they are mentioning those at some point throughout the program or throughout the webinar tonight, so that we can address those prior to the end of the evening. So just a note there, just realized that I had not mentioned that. But back to what's included. These are kind of the 5 different pieces that are included on Friday, and I'll talk more about this here in a second. On Friday, you will receive a lot more information on 3 different things. 1, your IHQ recruitment goals. 2, your chapter membership health report, and you will be introduced to your chapter coach. So that information is all coming out on Friday. So just making note of that by the end of the week, you will have all that information that is included here. The other piece is really thinking about Amplify provides us the opportunity to think about the importance of recruitment heading into the next school year. And really, I think this is importance of recruitment overall, no matter the school year or where we're at. I think there's 3 different things that really provide some importance when we're talking about recruitment and growth. The first one is growth of Delta Upsilon, both as a fraternity and as chapters. If we are putting in the work and we are growing and we are allowing for ourselves to recruit the right individuals and the amount of individuals that we are expecting ourselves to grow by, we are growing as a fraternity. And that means our chapters are growing. That means we're having a bigger presence. And that goes into kind of that second bullet point. That allows for us to have a greater impact on our communities, the fraternity and sorority life communities, our campus communities, our local communities, our alumni networks, our advising networks, our communities back at home, right? So we're growing DU, which is allowing for us to have an impact, which is what fraternity is all about. And ultimately, it's providing then more opportunity for us to develop, mentor, and ultimately live out our mission of building better men. And so if we're really thinking about what Amplify will allow for us to do, and really thinking about why this is important when it comes to growth and recruitment, it's these 3 areas. 1, ultimately, right, we grow, and that's important. We need to grow. We need to continue to bring men into the organization, into our chapters. That then allows for us to have an impact, and it allows for us to have the opportunity to develop and mentor and build better men throughout, their journeys as undergraduates and into our alumni network and our alumni community, right? And so I think when we think about, even just setting the stage and setting some foundational pieces, remember, this is why we're doing it. This is important. This is allowing for us to do all of these things. Growing a chapter by 10 to 15 men over the course of 1 year allows for us to have a greater impact. It allows for us to do more development and mentorship. It allows for us then to go continue to grow the chapter the next year because we have more opportunity to share why we grow, how we grow, and the impact that's having. So let's really think about that. I think these are things that are going to come up throughout the rest of the summer, both in the webinars and our small group sessions and in our one-on-one sessions. But I always like to mention this, thinking about what that importance is as we look ahead into the 2025-2026 school year. So ultimately, what does this come down to? Right? So we think about Amplify, what's included, the importance of what that's going to do for recruitment. But ultimately, it comes down to this idea that people are joining people. And Amplify DU is going to allow for us to dive into how people are joining people. People are not joining the best social media that they see on their campus. They're not joining the coolest recruitment t-shirts. They're not joining the fact that DU had the best Wing Wednesday event or the best flavors of wings at that Wing Wednesday event. Yes, those are all important. Yes, those are all vehicles to allow for us to meet more people. But ultimately, people join people. And what Amplify DU is going to allow for us to do is learn about those strategies and think about how people on our campuses are joining the people within our chapters. And one of the biggest ways that we need to think about doing that, one of the biggest ways that we do that, and if you've been on a webinar and you've been on a coaching session or you've heard me talk, you're going to know what I'm going to say. It's through 365 recruitment. People are joining people through 365 recruitment, through this idea that throughout the entire year, we are building relationship. We are allowing for ourselves to add individuals to a names list. We are allowing for ourselves to do the formal events, the informal events. We're allowing for ourselves to meet as many potential new members as possible and allowing for potential new members to meet the chapter as much as they can, right? As many members as they can over an extended period of time. And this is how we are ultimately, right, amplifying DU. We are doing this through 365 recruitment, through this idea that people are joining people. And we're going to talk a lot about how we are going to accomplish that as members of the organization as we develop a plan and as we develop a strategy. For some of you who have not been on an Amplify DU call or have not had coaching sessions with myself or a member of our growth team, might be asking, well, what does 365 recruitment look like? And I can remember a few years back during my first stint on DU, this idea of 365 recruitment was very new to a lot of people, and it was almost this scary thing. What do you mean 365 recruitment? We have our traditions. We have the way recruitment works. We recruit 2 weeks in the fall. We may recruit 1 week in the spring. We're a deferred campus, so we only recruit in the spring. So I'm not really understanding grasping, right? 365 recruitment would mean that I have to give a bid any time throughout the year. And so I want to talk a little bit more about what this actually looks like so that you all can start thinking about how this can play out within your chapters and this be a really good jumping off point for your small group sessions, for your one-on-one coaching, for your planning within recruitment and your strategy there. So what 365 recruitment is what I just talked about when I'm talking about people joining people. It is utilizing every single day of the year to do something to build relationship with individuals who might be interested within the organization or something that's going to showcase to individuals why Delta Upsilon is an organization that they should at least look at or show interest in. 365 recruitment is something that's being done everywhere else in the world. And so we should be taking this and allowing for this to happen within our own organization, within our fraternities. Other fraternities are doing this. Other chapters on your campus are doing this. We need to start doing this within DU. I already know chapters that do this and they do it very effectively. And it's part of their language and part of their lingo and part of their culture that they're saying, yes, recruitment ended. Technically, we gave out bids because we have to start a new member process, but we're already thinking about what we're going to do for the spring. We're already thinking about what we're going to do for the summer. And so this is already playing out within DU. And my goal is that this is going to play out in every single chapter and that we are providing you the tools and the framework and the knowledge and resources to be able to effectively implement a 365 recruitment strategy and plan. You'll see it within your recruitment goals, right? Your goal is for the entire year. We're expecting you to recruit X amount of AMs for the entire year. We're not limiting to say, hey, those AMs have to be recruited all in the fall or all in the spring. We're just saying throughout the entire year, here's how many associate members we want you to recruit. It reinforces this idea of 365 recruitment. So really thinking about what that looks like. And again, you're going to dive a lot more into it with small group sessions, one-on-one coaching with your recruitment plan and strategy, thinking about how are we consistently doing something every single day that's pushing the needle forward in the right direction when it comes to recruiting more men into our chapters and into our organization. So why is it important? Why is it important that we implement a 365 recruitment culture and mindset within our chapters? I've talked a little bit about these, but here are really 5 different bullet points that I like to highlight. First one, it provides consistent relationship building with potential members. If we stick into our traditional, we are going to have 2 weeks of recruitment with 7 different events, and each event's going to be 2 to 3 hours. That's only providing us and the potential new member so many opportunities to connect with them and build a relationship. And if we go back to this idea of people joining people, that's not going to really help us or be the most effective or be the best strategy. And so with 365 recruitment, I can meet a potential new member today on June 24th, and I can build a relationship with them up until August 15th. The minute they step on campus, I already have a relationship. They're coming to my first couple of events during my formal recruitment week, and I've already had that relationship. And guess what? They may be bringing other friends, right? Because they have that relationship. And so it provides us that opportunity. The second way it's important is it allows the chapter to find quality men over a longer period of time rather than through a handful of events and interactions. Can't tell you how many conversations I've been in with chapters and individuals who have said, "Hey, yeah, we think this guy's going to be a really good fit. We think he has, the potential to be a good member of the organization, but we've only had a couple interactions with him, and those couple interactions span over a period of maybe 4 to 5 hours. What if I told you that instead of 4 to 5 hours, I can give you 80 hours that you've interacted with this potential new member, and you can confidently say that person's going to be the next VP of recruitment. That person could be the next exec board member. That person I'm going to send to LI. I'm going to send to Dual. I'm going to send to RLA because that's an individual that has high quality. They meet our criteria. And I've been able to really figure that out over a longer period of time because I've used and implemented this idea of 365 recruitment within our chapter. And so I'm finding quality men. And a lot of the times, 365 recruitments opens the door to find quality men who otherwise wouldn't be joining. And Trey and I were actually on a training last week with Fired Up, and some of you might have been in trainings with Fired Up or have had conversations or used Chapter Builder, which is a Fired Up product. And there has been a very big shift that we have less always joiners on our campuses and a lot more maybe joiners. And what 365 recruitment will allow for us to do is actually go find those maybe joiners and build those consistent relationships, find those quality men, and allow for them to join our organization and feel like it's a place where they can be and where they can excel and where they can develop. Thirdly, it allows for potential new members to gain a better understanding of Delta Upsilon over a longer period of time. So back to what I was just talking about, it gives the P&M the ability to say, you know what? Instead of having to make a decision based off 2 or 3 events, I can now make a decision based off 10 different interactions, both formal and informal, that I've had with DU. They've answered my questions. They've met my parents because they were at move-in or my parents were in town, and I brought them over to an event, or I saw one of the members out at dinner, whatever the case may be. So it just gets them more comfortable. Fourth is it sets the chapter up for success in reaching recruitment goals. And I always use the example of if we are just thinking about, hey, I want to go recruit 20 guys during a formal recruitment period. And if I've done no prep work, no 365 recruitment work, and the first time I'm meeting all of my P&Ms is on day one, and that's all I'm doing, the likelihood that you are going to go find 20 high quality men to join DU over a period of 2 weeks is going to be a lot tougher than if you came into doing that prep work and on your first day of formal recruitment, you can say, hey, I've actually already have about 5 to 7 guys who are 100% locked in because we've taken this time to really meet with them, talk to them about DU, address some of their concerns. And now I really have to go focus on finding those additional 12, 13, 14. And guess what? I can use these 5 to 8 guys to help me actually do that in my process. I equate this, and again, if you've been on a call with me, you know what I'm going to say. I equate this to college football recruiting, right? They are not waiting till National Signing Day to find all of their recruits for that upcoming recruitment class. Leading up to that, they have their verbal commitments. They have those guys reaching out to guys that they are actively recruiting to get them to commit to their university, commit to their program. We can take some of those lessons and some of the things that they're doing and implement that within our chapters and within our fraternity. And again, I've seen chapters be very successful in this, and we're here to help you all learn what does that look like. And I will acknowledge that there are some campuses, yeah, there's a lot of policies and restrictions. Let us help you work through what that might look like because it's going to be really important to think about, okay, on my campus, how can I implement this while still following policy and being successful? Last one is it keeps recruitment as a priority for the chapter year round rather than just for a short period of time during the school year. So if we think 365 recruitment, we're not thinking that there's any quote unquote off times. What I found, and probably a little bit less now, but what I found with a lot of chapters is recruitment ends in September. You then go to a chapter meeting. That exec board member, who's that VP of recruitment, goes, I have no updates, right? Recruitment's over. We either hit our goals or we didn't. Now it's the new member program. That is a fixed, very short period mindset and culture. And if we're thinking about 365 recruitment, we can get out of that, right? That we can say, okay, recruitment ended. We took, a little bit of a break because we just kind of put, really pushed the gas and reached our goals. But now we're back at it. We're already planning for the spring. We're already prepping who might be the new VP of recruitment. We're already thinking about building a names list. We're thinking about what we may need to post on social media to highlight maybe some of our new members that can influence other guys. We've already asked our new members, hey, who are the guys that didn't join this semester that might be interested in joining next semester? You start doing all of those things. We're utilizing summer to attend Amplify DU, to start reaching out to the class of 2029, to start thinking about what our events are going to look like. We're already thinking about, hey, we actually have guys in town who can go take guys to lunch or dinner during orientation, right? So when we get in this culture and get in this mindset of 365 recruitment, it keeps it a priority for the chapter year round rather than for that short period of time there. And Trey, if you can just continue to check the chat, if there's any questions, feel free to jump in to let me know, or go ahead and answer those in the chat there. But just to kind of remind you there, that would be great. And remember, if you do have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat, and we'll make sure to get those answered either in the chat or at some point here during the slides. So what role will 365 recruitment play in 2025, 2026? And I could really insert any years there. This really goes to, kind of plays off our last slide. First and foremost, it allows chapters to be recruiting consistently instead of just during one semester or a few weeks of a semester. So some chapters might say, hey, we can't technically recruit any first year student until January of the spring semester. Totally get that. Well, what are you doing to start building relationships with them even before that? All that's kind of within policy. Hey, typically, our primary recruitment's the first couple weeks in August. Okay, that's great. Well, now what are you doing now to set up for that time? And then when that time's over, what are you doing to set up for the spring? So again, consistently recruiting. And I will always challenge chapters to say, is that truly the only time you can recruit? Or is that just kind of when IFC says, hey, we need to have this official bid day, but technically we can continue to recruit 2 or 3 weeks after that period? So start asking those questions, but it allows for us to recruit consistently. Second It expands the chapter's reach and pipelines to students. If we're thinking 365 recruitment, sometimes we have to be creative. What are our pipelines? Are we looking at Dean's List? Are we going to the Honors College? Have we looked on, these different groups on Instagram that we could potentially reach out to? Have we sent emails out to alumni? Can advisors help kind of get some connections there? Hey, have we maybe gone and thought about, are there transfer students who come in mid-year who are eligible to join because of credits and that we can go capitalize off of, or at least go start talking to? So it's going to allow for us our reach to be larger and think about the different pipelines we have. Third one is it doesn't limit the chapter in recruiting and puts the chapter in a position to recruit more diverse and quality individuals from across campus. This is what we're talking about if we just think about recruiting during a 2-week formal IFC period, or just recruit based off the list that IFC gets us. That is limiting us based off the individuals who say, yes, I want to join a fraternity. But if we go back thinking about, we have a lot more maybe joiners within our campuses now. We need to go recruit them. We need to go reach out. We need to go build relationships over time, which ultimately are going to create a lot more diversity, a lot more quality individuals, and to that second point, expand our reach and expand our pipelines. Fourth, it's going to set the chapter up for greater success to reach recruitment goals. So we're relying on the full year rather than a handful of weeks. If we're on a 365 recruitment mindset and we go into the fall and we have a year goal of 20, and our benchmark to reach that goal is to recruit 12 guys in the fall and 8 guys in the spring, and we come out of the fall and we've only recruited 10, that means that we can then think about, okay, because we have this mindset of 365 recruitment and we're utilizing the whole year, what do we need to change and what do we need to do to now strategize to go recruit to make up for the 2 guys that we thought we were going to have by the end of the fall, right? If we don't have that mindset, we're going to get to the end of the fall and say, yeah, we didn't reach our goal of 12, we got 10, we're still fairly happy with that. Recruitment, we're going to kind of shut recruitment down for the year. What are you doing, right? You've got 6 to 9 months left to really go continue to find these guys on campus and allow for them to join and build relationships. If we're in this mindset, you're never going to question continuing to recruit. You're just going to question, how are we doing that and what strategies do we need to change or continue to do or implement that are going to help us reach our goal there. And then the last one, and I've mentioned it a few times, it capitalizes on these off times. When we think of summer, when we think of winter, when we think of, directly post IFC bid day, these are off times that I think a lot of people think of when we can start thinking about capitalizing off of them. Our other chapters, COBing, continuous open bidding guys, right? Are they using no bid lists that they're receiving from their campuses? Are other chapters utilizing the time in the summer to reach out via Instagram, to start doing lunches, to table at orientation sessions? I have a chapter I'm working with, just forwarded me an email, reached out to their university, said, hey, in years past, we've been able to table at orientation. Are we able to do that? Got all this information back about how it's going to look different this year, but they can still table and 1 or 2 guys can be there. And that is 365 recruitment. They're capitalizing on this off time where other chapters may not be asking those questions and maybe missing out on a plethora of students at orientation who are looking to get involved. And guess what? Their parents might be there. So now I have the opportunity to interact with their parents. And it just continues that cycle and continues this mindset of 365 recruitment. So really start thinking about, how are we capitalizing, how are we utilizing, how are we taking opportunity of these quote unquote off times where other chapters might not be doing it. So students might be more receptive to that. And I always think about, hey, actually all the other chapters are doing it. We can't be the only ones left out. Why that might not be what's happening, that's going to drive me to do it more because I'm going to be competitive and I want to make sure I'm finding the right guys and capitalizing and taking that opportunity every chance I get. So that's really kind of setting the stage for your first small group session, your one-on-one coaching. It sets the stage for really our next 4 webinar sessions, which will really dive into other aspects of successful recruitment. How are we, engaging everyone within the chapter? How are we providing opportunity? What questions should we be asking? What are informal, formal events that have worked well? All of those pieces there. But I think really for Amplify to set the stage. And what was important tonight is really thinking about one, people are joining people and they're doing that through 365 recruitment. And so we need to start thinking about, as leaders of recruitment within our chapters, what does that look like for us? And how can we start having those conversations within our chapters, with our advisors, with our alumni, and now with our Amplify recruitment coaches on what that looks like and how can we develop a very intentional and strategic plan with that. So with that being said, what can we expect this week? So you can expect a couple of different things. First, you're going to receive an email. I had mentioned this on Friday. You will receive an email that will include information on IHQ recruitment goals, chapter membership health reports, and 2025-26 recruitment plan template. So take a look through that. That's going to get emailed to your main chapter participant, and your president. If you are part of the recruitment committee because your VP couldn't make it for whatever reason, your VP will also be included on that. And then certain advisors, if you have a main advisor, if you have a recruitment advisor, and then also copied on that email will be your recruitment coach. In that email, you will be introduced to who your recruitment coach will be. So that will be either be myself, Trey, Tristan, Sam, or Josh. With that, you can also expect this week to either this week or next week receive some sort of messaging either via email or via text from your recruitment coach for both setting up a small group session and a one-on-one session. So be on the lookout for that as well. And then in terms of this webinar, the recording, all of those pieces, if you are wanting the recording of this Zoom session, of this webinar, of webinar number one, please email me directly so I can get that over to you. I want to make sure as many people attend as possible. And so we want to make sure that if you want the recording, go ahead and send it to you. We'll eventually put those up on the website for everyone as a resource. But if you directly want this recording, please make sure to just shoot me an email and I can make sure to get that to you. Again, if there's other people that you want to receive this information, either send me their email or just have them register. That registration link's going to stay live. And so I can get them on that email list so I can continue to send them that information there. So with that being said, want to obviously open the floor up for any questions. So I'll open up the chat here and see if there are any questions. Kathy, yep. Can advisors receive emails on IHQ recruitment goals? Yep, you will be attached to that, or you'll be copied on that. So um, you'll have those goals for you there. Just saw that. And then if you have any other questions, feel free to put those in the chat. So I'll take a minute, or you can come off mute. That's totally fine as well. Whatever works best for you. All right. So seeing none, want to make one last mention that if you have not yet put your name and chapter in the meeting chat for attendance, then please go ahead and do that. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for signing up for your participation. Thank you for taking the charge and taking the lead on being a leader within recruitment within your chapter. I'm very excited for the work that is ahead of us over the course of the next month and a half, and all the work that you all are going to do to go recruit individuals within DU and grow your chapters. If you need anything, my email is on the screen, my phone number is on the screen. Always happy to have a phone call. Text guys, VPs of recruitment text me all the time with, hey, what's your advice here? Or can you send me a script on how to send a message via Instagram? You can do that with your recruitment coach as well, but please feel free to call me, feel free to email me. We will go ahead and um, I'll mention again on Monday, next Monday, you'll receive the Zoom meeting link for next Tuesday evening. So next Tuesday will be Amplify session number 2. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, please let me know. And on Friday, please be on the lookout for that email that will go to your main participant, your president, VP of recruitment, and advisors with all that information. So with that being said, thank you all so much. Really looking forward to a successful, strategic, and intentional summer, and hope you all enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night.